All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Vinland Saga, Season 1, Episode 18. Oh my god, we're about to duel with Thorfinn and Thorkel.
Yep.
And oh my god.
The thing is,
oh my god.
As excited as I am, I'm also very worried because the fact that Thorfinn said, don't you touch him, that means that Thorkel now could potentially have a reason to do something to Askeladd if Thorfinn loses. So, but the thing is, my favorite characters are all pretty much in the same spot.
Yep.
Except, of course, for Thors, because he's dead.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, oh boy. And then, of course, Bjorn is also rescuing Canute, so we'll have to see what happens there. But, wow.
I am so excited right now because this is that part in the show where I'm like, there's nothing that correlates to like big historical whatevers here. So like anything could happen.
Yep.
There's only one character. One character involved close to this whole duel thing that I know is going to be okay.
Right. Because Thorfinn's the main character. Yeah. Okay, well, but then also there's this whole thing like, okay, so as per someone's request, I looked at the manga panel for when Thorkel scared the shit out of Thorgrim. And oh my, it was amazing. Like, that whole scene was just fantastic because see, I love Thorkel so much.
Me too.
He is my waifu of this show.
That's a good choice, yeah.
And to see him be so happy. But, Thorgrim just doesn't understand that happiness. And it's okay. It's okay.
It's okay.
You just, slaver and, stand there and
you were a good, like, potential, like, appetizer kind of starter piece before the main course of Thorfinn showed up.
But you kind of, like, threw off his appetite until Thorfinn showed up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. But y'all, we got a duel. So without further ado, let's get into it. Straight into the OP. Oh my god.
Whoa.
Oh my god.
Whoa. Hold on.
Whoa.
Jeez. Oh man.
Whoa.
This is true.
Jeez, this is so good.
This is amazing.
Yeah. Good. Keep talking about his dad. Yes, exactly.
Speak.
Yeah. Good question. Tell him.
Yeah.
Oh, that was his mom. Okay. Oh, do you want to know more?
Then you better fight me.
Yeah. Oh my god, I love that look. Oh!
Thorkel's like, talk.
Yeah, look at them!
Yeah.
They're like, look at this kid! Oh my god! Oh, jeez, Thorkel. Everyone's just like, okay, all right. Like my balls just went into my stomach, Yeah.
Okay.
OP time.
Yep. So. Yeah. But that was.
Oh my god.
Mukashi no kiyoku Dokuro naka ge gawarata.
Nice.
Gawarata.
Oh, so I just bleed and bleed and flood and have inside me, holding to the creed and blade to slay thee. Carry on the oath until my last sea, higher than the sky and deeper than the sea. Keep your precious justice to yourself, but use it till they're torn, become a pile of mud. I don't need their choice or voice to judge me. The only when and way I had and always seek. Everyone, I will crush them all. Enemies, let me see, now I see you fall. Kings and gods, change the odds. I'm the one who makes my final call. Izumo, Kakumo, Kodoku Saimo, Nigiri, Tsubushi, Tada Arago. Keep your crown, I take you down. I'm the one who makes my final call. Woo! Oh, Askeladd's like slowly tending to his wounds.
Falcon punch!
Out of the cradle. Oh my god, Bjorn's beating the shit out of him.
Yeah.
No. You have to hear this. Whoa. The stuff from the OP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
僕一人でこんな世界で生きてゆけというのか、生きてゆけると思うのか。
私めはあなた様の教育係として
No, no.
あなた様をやるるとしてではなく
No, you did so well.
お望みではないと知りつつお許し
Oh, saying it's his fault that Canute's in this situation.
Oh. Oh, this is so good.
Yeah.
Oh, no strings coming in there. Oh.
If I had just been your son.
Yeah.
Yep.
嬉しゅうございます天下行かないでお前が好きなんだ
Oh.
失って知ることがございます
Oh.
あなた様はすでに気づきでしょう私めのことは夢でございます
Oh.
His voice sounds so distant. That's just...
Oh my god, Bjorn is just destroying them. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yep, that's the bit! That's the bit! Oh!
Oh!
Oh.
お体痛みはございませんか
Oh, the priest. Just casually sitting there. Are you kidding me?
止めようがありますか死にたいものは死なせてやればよいのです
Oh. Oh my god.
私を愛してくれる者はいなくなった。
Oh my god.
それは大いなる
But you're wrong. This is where the priest comes in and basically reminds him about,
あなたへの思い
yeah, yeah.
愛ですか彼はあなたの安全のために
The cross, yeah.
62人の善良な村人を見殺しにした
Well, rip Askeladd's crew.
Yeah.
We'll never get to Valhalla. New development? Oh, he's gotten a hit
blood.
in. But he's being tired out. Okay.
Thorfinn's getting tired out.
Oh, he got him in the arms multiple times. Gotcha. Take this off, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's hot.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. Mm-hmm. Right, he's got the precious parts covered.
Like, that's fur, and he's just tearing it.
Yep. I like that it goes down to his knees, the chainmail, you know. Good point. Hey, he's self-aware. Oh, yeah. Isolated.
Oh.
Whoa. Whoa.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Wow.
ラグナルは私を愛していなかったというのか。
はい。
ならば問うのは私の方だ。ラグナルに愛がないのなら、正しく愛を体現できる。
彼は死んで、どんな聖者よりも美しくなった。
crap.
愛そのものと言っていい。彼はもはや憎むことも奪うこともしません。
Oh boy. Oh.
死は人間を完成させるのです。
Oh, because then they become
Interesting.
legend. They become
Yeah,
something
yeah.
that is untouched, immovable.
Yeah.
Wow, I like that actually. Perfection in death. The idea that Thor's, you know, only attained that at that point. But the thing is that Thor spoke of it while he was still alive.
Yeah.
But this is where Canute's going to have to keep growing within that. I would say the giving of your life is the essence of love.
夫婦が互いを、ラグナルが私を大切に思う気持ちは一体何だ。
There's different types of love too.
Sure.
Oh, discrimination.
Interesting.
Oh, it's preference.
Sure.
Oh, wow.
彼のあなたに対する心弱い思いは差別です。
Huh.
Whoa.
分かってきた。まるで霧が晴れていくようだ。
Oh, crap.
And this is where Thorfinn gets taken down.
Oh! Oh! Whoa! Oh, dang.
まだ浅い。この雪が愛なのだな。
そうです。
あの空が。
Wow. Oh my
Amazing
god.
shot.
なのに。
But yeah, it's the discrimination that is the human thing where we separate and give individual value to a specific thing, like we can choose that.
Well, right, because
Oh my god.
こんなにも美しいというのに。人間の心には愛がないのか。
well, just a limited amount.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And for only certain people.
Is that going back to like some
Yeah.
Garden of Eden stuff there?
Yep.
Yeah.
遠い祖先が神に背き
Sin.
罪を犯したせいだ私たちは楽園
Whoa.
から追放されたのです
Oh.
That is a hard
Vinland
face.
Saga.
Yeah.
Vinland Saga. Oh! Oh, he's playing dirty now. Oh! Whoa, where'd he go? He's up in the sky?
死のバネで衝撃
Holy crap!
Wow.
Oh!
Oh, man.
Oh, you're so lucky there's snow on the ground!
Yeah.
You could have broken your back! Oh, the episode's still going.
I'm so
Oh.
glad that it ended the episode.
Yeah, I'm
there.
so glad too. Jeez.
いけません
Oh, crap. No, this is a problem.
正気の人間が
Oh.
Oh boy.
生の意味を知らず死の意味を知らず己の戦う意味さえも知らぬ伝子
Those eyes. Oh, nice to parallel Torgrim with Thorkel.
を得て代わりに失ったもの
Yeah.
最も大切なものそしてそれは生ある限り私たちの手にはそれでも追い求めよというのか
Oh. Oh.
父よ
Whoa.
Oh man.
最も愛より遠きもの楽園を追われし者よ
Wow. This is so brilliant because it's like he's speaking also to the primal like animal within man itself, like not to an individual here.
Right.
我々の生は試され耐え続けるためにのみあるというのか天の父よあなたの与える試練ではこの者の
You're right. Yeah. No. Oh my god.
もはやあなたの
Yeah.
与えてくれぬなら我々の手でこの地上に再びの楽園を
Okay.
Oh!
Oh!
無事かやめんかバカ者動くな腹をやられているビリバルド
The priest. Yeah.
この者の手当てをしておけ私は散った馬を捕まえるそなた手伝えあんたはトルケル軍に引き渡すでないと俺の仲間が元よりトルケルのところへ行くつもりだ連中にそりを借りねばその怪我人は運べぬ
Wow.
Yeah. Here it begins.
てめえがトルケルに捕まっちまったら意味ねえんだよ
There is no meaning to this. Yeah.
そなたたちの戦いのかこんな戦いに
Yeah. Yeah.
そなたたちの戦いに生と死に意味を与えてやろう
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
Jeez.
do you see it, Jacob?
Oh yeah, no.
This is who I was hyped about.
Yeah.
Oh, we're just getting started.
Wow.
Oh my god.
That episode. That episode.
Oh, I'm so excited. They combined it so perfectly within what was going on with the battle.
Yep.
And then brought in Ragnar for this added bit of like emotional characterization, and then paralleled it with the stuff that went on with Thorfinn and Thors and Thorkel. Oh, wow. God, I love this show.
This, yeah.
I feel like I'm almost at that place where I can start, talking freely. Because there's certain things that are, like, they can take a little bit of liberty with. But,
well, the direction for Canute is very much drawn now.
Well, he's awake, y'all. He's awake.
Yep.
Here he is.
Okay.
Here he is.
Okay.
Yeah. Immediate thoughts? Like, little... Yeah.
I am terrified. of what this boy's about to do. Because, wow.
Yeah. Because we just fought the whole battle of the mind and came out the other side with a belief system, with an identity.
Oh, yeah.
With not only those two things, but also a philosophy that that contradicts a lot of what Thor's specifically kind of propagated. And, well, we all know that Thor's is kind of the arbiter for, like, the proper way to, you know, kind of approach life.
Well, the thing is
that got him killed.
Well, yeah, but the thing is that with Canute, his is just a little bit twisted, and nations burn before ideologies.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. I am so hyped right now because, like, what we've got here is we've got the origin story beginnings covered.
Yep.
Now we have the ascension, and and from there, like I'm just excited to see how you react to this, because there's a lot of things where it's like it's nothing's guaranteed. You know, there's a lot of stuff where you can have a light that burns fast and bright,
sure,
or you can have one that builds and builds and builds and builds and gets bigger and bigger.
Well, and,
so
and using the rocket analogy,
using the what analogy?
The rocket analogy.
Oh,
when
sure.
You want to have a rocket and you want it to go far, right? Mm-hmm. You don't actually just have it ignite the engine,
right?
You have it ignite the engine while it's being held down.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually the engine is burning hot enough and giving enough thrust that it'll break free of the clamps, right?
Yeah.
And then at that point, it'll be able to actually go, straight into the sky as opposed to sort of, petering out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I'm so excited. I love that they brought this back to the emotional core of Ragnar and Canute's relationship together, because what was really important here was that this this encounter happens in some ways under the context of his faith. In some ways, the idea that he would even be able to, experience some kind of a vision or dream or what have you this is something that is tied very much to his, his Christian faith and what have you.
Yes.
So, Ragnar gives him the, you noticed already, there are some things that you only realize once you've experienced a loss. And I was like, oh, is that how they're going to do this? Because a lot of things regarding Canute's, like, actual, like, origins and, like, what were his formative early years like, I don't know how much detail they actually have available throughout history that's not just, hearsay or what have you.
Yeah, but
then when he leaves, the fact that the priest who went through this kind of question earlier on in the show about what love is, then brings up his findings to Canute, and Canute goes through this whole thing of where, in death you find basically love. You find in some ways that which is closest to God. I would say it's because there's no tether connecting you to this world, and such that all the environmental factors that harrow you, in this world, you're free. You no longer have to be burdened by them.
Yeah.
But then he brings up the question here that I think is so brilliant, because it's a very, I would say, correct way of looking. Not correct. It's a very specific way of looking at this, and it is right
from a certain
point of view.
Yeah.
Which makes it all the more powerful.
Right.
But from another point of view, it's not.
Well, because the way I see it is that, because to say that Ragnar didn't love Canute would be silly, right?
Right, of course.
But when they're talking about love here, they're not talking about love. They're talking about love with a capital L.
Yes, exactly.
Like they're talking about the agape, right?
Well, not even that. Like, agape is the unconditional love, the thing that is still an act. They were talking about it as almost like a fundamental law of reality. Like, they call it an emotion here. and obviously they're limited in their education and what have you.
Well, right.
To where,
no, I'm not talking about what they're talking about. What Ragnar was, but what the priest has been looking for, right? And the reason that he says that it's not love is because it's conditional, right? It's because it's something that is for you specifically, but he doesn't, feel that way about the rest of the world. And
okay,
like
yes,
that.
yes, you're right. You're right in that regard, right? I've just seen agape used so many times as still an act-based thing because
gotcha.
they're even defining it with conditions being a part of the conversation.
Well, right. I mean, the very nature of anything that is like, unconditional or infinite or whatever is kind of impossible for us to like comprehend or talk about in, finite terminology and stuff.
Exactly. The Greeks had it right originally. There's multiple kinds of love, and also calling love an emotion isn't even really accurate.
Like, it's emotion like that's is such one facet,
right?
But,
It's something that you do feel, but it is not an emotion.
Right.
In some ways, like this is where I'd say a lot of the musicians can sometimes have a lot more accurate kind of representations of the truth in it, in that love is something that's just built into the world around us. Now, there's a lot of things where you go into wacky spiritual kind of interpretations of that, but it is something that is more, I would say, more real than emotions. So, and he gets into the question, what was that? And I love how he brought up in some ways, the one-off episode of we go to the village.
Yeah.
He watched as 62 innocent villagers were killed.
Right.
Which is, I love seeing the shadow of the cross kind of image right there. He's like, oh yeah, that totally jives well with your faith, Would Thor's have basically tried to, excuse it of like, yeah, I'm going to let all these innocent people die because I'm caring for my son here.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't
probably
think,
not.
I don't think Thor's would have done that.
Yeah. Given that he didn't kill any of the people that he was fighting, probably not.
No, like his love was closer to unconditional than anyone else's we've seen in the show
hence
thus
why
far.
The priest freaked out when Torgrim like mentioned the story. Oh yeah, there was a story of this guy that we fought, and he's like, what?
Right. I love how we then quickly cut over to Thorkel and Thorfinn, who are realizing that in order to attain perfection as warriors, they're missing something.
Yeah, they're missing that why, like the
right. Yeah. And it's that why. It's not specifically the actual like capabilities of them as fighters. It's the reason, it's the thing that brings them to these battlefields and takes them away from said battlefields. If they don't have anything like that, then what are they? Just animals following their instincts?
Yeah.
Like that's what Thorfinn is in a lot of ways. Like he latched on really hard to a very specific instinctual bond with his father after he died, and now is basically following that and nothing else.
Yeah.
Isn't thinking about why he's doing this. He has a little bit of self-awareness. Yeah, I'm sure he is thinking about it, but I mean he is not reflecting or processing based on that.
Yes, he has a set static, reason of why he's doing this, and he's not looking any deeper into that or things like that because that's enough for him.
There's no meaning. Yeah, and then Thorfinn remembers his father there in that exact line which he gives, which was, let me see here. Perhaps I could learn from you since you're Thor's child. Hey, Thorfinn, what do you think? And then he says something here.
Yeah. What
does it mean
to be a true warrior?
To be a true warrior.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he remembers what Thor said. And then they go and continue asking the question of what love is. Then who can embody love correctly? I love how he says, well, obviously the one who doesn't even have the opportunity to embody it incorrectly.
Right.
Which is the wrong way to look at it. Because I would say the way to embody love correctly for a moment is not that hard.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But it's the embodiment of it in a consistent, long-term, eternal in some ways way.
Exactly.
From life to death.
Yeah. Because
there's almost no way we can do it.
Right. Humans can love imperfectly just fine.
Just fine.
Right? And some better than others maybe, but but it's just fine, right?
Yep.
Yep. But to say, to do it in a perfect way, well, you certainly stop screwing up once you're dead, right? Because
he's not wrong.
Yeah.
But you're not doing anything really right or wrong at that point, though.
Yeah. And hence why, Thor's sacrifice is so powerful, because he essentially went out on the highest note he could.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
He didn't kill his enemies. He saved his son. He gave his life up.
Yep.
And that is certainly what Thorfinn will always remember. He'll remember the other things too, but and that's what Askeladd remembered.
Yeah, and then the death perfects a person, and then Thorfinn remembers.
Yep.
And it's just like, oh, that hurts. It's so good. So then he's saying, are you saying that death is the essence of love? And in some ways he doesn't
he doesn't say anything.
Like, let me see. Does he actually say something though? Because he might just say yes really quickly. Yes, he does say that. So that's actually interesting, given the kind of Christian faith that they're kind of following here. Is that in some ways, like, their whole thing is based around the idea that someone died, died for all of them.
Yep.
But then he brings up the idea that, well, wait. Then if that's not, if death is the essence of love, then what is it when parents care for their children? There's a Greek word for that, familial love. And then when a husband and wife care for each other, sexual love. That's a whole thing as well. And then Ragnar cares about me, in some ways more closer to the familial love as well. But there's also the
love among peers.
Love among peers, exactly.
Brotherly love and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And he calls this whole thing discrimination because it's the value of one over the other.
Right. And that's
right. That's not
that's
not wrong.
Yeah, it's accurate. It's correct.
Yeah.
But just because you're correct doesn't mean you're right. And
exactly.
And one of the things that's so scary about this is because there's a lot of stuff that the priest is getting at that's really good stuff.
Right.
Right? However, if you look at who's saying what and who they're saying it to, right? You have a priest that is nihilistic as all get out, right?
Yeah.
That has had a horrible life, doesn't exactly, has a certain perspective on life based on his experiences.
Yeah.
And then you have someone who has
been recently made vulnerable and is searching for meaning.
Yep. Right? And they have definitely had some pretty bad life experiences.
Right. And when you ask questions where you are determined to basically have an answer, even though the question is more important actually than the answer.
Right.
The fact that the priest is willing to give him answers that aren't even really sufficient for him.
Right.
Like, the priest isn't happy with any of these answers.
Right. Like exactly.
That's why he's still asking the questions.
Yep.
And the fact that he's giving them here is basically his own form of discrimination.
Right.
I would say.
Exactly. Yeah. Because not to say that these answers are bad.
Right.
I would say these answers are good for a person to have.
To follow up with more questions.
And potentially more answers to the same question.
Yeah.
The thing is that because Canute is so vulnerable here, he's going to take the answers that he gets and latch onto them and form his entire life around them, as opposed to, well, I mean, who knows? That's just, based on from what I've seen here, I'm guessing that could very easily happen.
Yeah.
As opposed to that being one of the answers that is then held in counterbalance with other answers, right?
Sure. Yeah. But his moment here where he's like, I feel like the fog has lifted.
That's either a very good thing or a very bad thing.
Well, I have to be careful here because I know certain things, but there's an aspect of Canute's personality is one that I can't really know through history, texts, and what have you.
Yeah.
But what I like here is that he comes to the realization that it's not actually about a feeling. He then starts looking at God's creation, and he goes, all of this is love.
Right.
He's basically doing the Genesis thing of, he looked at it all and said it was very good.
Right. Yeah.
Now this is the part where he comes to the idea of, I would say, a lot of people who, can't reconcile certain aspects of the Christian faith is then when he looks at the world as it is with mankind and goes, okay, then why is it this way? And the thing is that there's no real, I would say, simple answer for all of this. So it ends up being conflated back to the story at the beginning. And that's something that I would say it simplifies things.
Right.
But there's this idea that he goes to this and looks at it and goes, but wait a minute. But we are surrounded by all that is love. It permeates us. It's like the Force practically. It binds everything together. So if that's the case, why then is it that we cannot tap into that and build our own paradise?
Right. And well,
go for it.
And the issue with this is that because when you're the reason why having this conversation and having these answers is both good and very potentially dangerous. I don't know what happens in the future, right? But is the idea that it's that the distinction of the fact that humans can't love, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the particular kind of love that you're talking about, the perfect love, right? But we can love imperfectly, which is still something. Yeah. It's not everything, but it's something, right?
Right. That's more closely, I would say, connected actually to a feeling. An example would be like when there's biological reasons for it, but like when a mother bears a child in nature, humans, what have you, there is a biological connection that they have to said child for the most part that we have all kinds of terms and stuff for. But why is that? Well, it's actually just for the means of propagating the survival of the species, is just to help
evolutionary selection of how the species survives.
Now, is that, I'd say, a choice? I would say maybe somewhere in there a little bit, but I would say for the most part, no. Well, I would say for the most part, almost like not at all.
Okay.
But if you go into the actual bonds and communities and relationships and things that we form at a macro level, like that's where things I would say happen to come from an area where you go, well, wait a minute, we could actually debate for eons about whether or not that's actually a choice.
Oh yeah, and we definitely do. And they're
and I would say the only bit of choice is in that very specific individual level, that even at the point where it has the most biological kind of connection between the two, with motherly love of bearing a child, essentially, that's even something that has just the tiniest bit of choice involved.
Well, yeah, it's like, because there are people that think that humans as human beings, there is actually no free will, and we're just essentially very complicated computer programs that are running on our things based on the chemical influences from the brain and all that stuff.
And there's no way to disprove that or prove that.
Right, exactly. Like you can't really do it.
We don't have that kind of tech yet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the idea of the love isn't a feeling, right?
Yeah.
It's because there are feelings that can be associated with that and that it can create and all that stuff.
Yep.
But because it's something that can't be so easily pinned down, there are aspects of it that can be feelings. There's aspects of it that can be choices.
Yep.
And oftentimes the proof is in the pudding when you actually look at the choices that are being made.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So even though Ragnar did not die specifically, say, to save Canute's life,
right? Yeah.
He definitely loved Canute, right?
Yeah.
Thor's loved Thorfinn.
Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm. What is Canute gonna love?
Yeah, so
that's what I'm curious about, because
what's exciting about this is that he looks at, in some ways, the personification of humanity's sin, if you will.
Right.
Basically, it's lack of sanity.
Yeah.
No semblance of sanity. And he's trying to hold on to his semblance of sanity. Right. He looks at Bjorn in his rage and says, "You who have been expelled from paradise, is there any way to end your suffering, and the suffering from your punishment other than death?" Basically acknowledging the idea that there is no salvation. There's nothing that can save you, really. It's just going to be the going beyond this. So then he goes, well, then is it all just suffering? Is all of it actually meaningless? So he goes and rejects that idea because he's basically praying and saying, no, like there must be something more. He says, this man's soul cannot be saved through the trials you set for him, which is true. That there's no salvation in the immediate sense through any kind of man's simple actions or whatever, what have you. In some ways, you need to, if you even believe in anything like that, you need to kind of believe in there being it in order for it to be there.
Yeah,
it's this weird catch-22 situation where I think even Canute realizes that it's not not possible.
Yeah, it's the whole thing where there's whenever you're trying to go into like eternal perspective or the meaning of life and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Nihilism is a very easy thing to go into. Now, that is something that, at least in my experience, is very good to have in a certain amount, right? You know, and to realize that,
a minor healthy dose. Yeah.
Right, exactly. That the world's going to keep on spinning without us, and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But when you have that so much in one person,
yes,
and the question of it, like the raging against that nihilism, also within the same person, that's like a railgun to shoot them in a direction, very fast.
Yeah.
One of my favorite bits of dialogue in like anime, certainly when I was getting into it, was the end of episode 7 of Black Lagoon.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was basically this kind of conflict that Canute's having here, but then split into two people, where there's the nihilistic one and there's the person that's not nihilistic, basically, right? And then there's the conversation that happens there. Canute is having this entire conversation almost entirely within himself. Or he's having a conversation within himself, and then there is an external person as the propagator of the nihilistic outlook, which, of course, then causes him to rage against that, because why wouldn't he?
Yep.
What is he going to do now that he is raging against that? Oh my God, I don't know. Yep. But it's going to be something crazy.
Yep.
And probably a lot of crazy things.
Yep. What's exciting, I would say, in addition with that, is that he resolves as his final statement here, before he goes into just conversation and stuff, is he's literally talking to, Father in heaven, and he says, I no longer seek your salvation. If you no longer give us salvation, then with our own hands on this earth, which is basically where it doesn't. I'm trying to see if it actually says it, that he will create. They'll create their own paradise, and it's meaning of the show, Vinland Saga. Right. Yeah, we shall create our own paradise.
Yep.
So this is a concept, I would say, that in terms of the way of thinking is way ahead of his time in terms of where people came to these kinds of realizations. Yes. I would say it's just something I'm rather excited about. There's some things that I'm not sure where they're going to change certain things in history, because there are certain things that we can extrapolate from Canute's actions in the future. That give us a little bit of an idea of his belief system and stuff, but that this does feel like on point. And it's something where he is acknowledging that there's two conditions here. One, like, I'm not going to seek your salvation if it doesn't exist. Meaning it's not attainable by me. If I can't grab it, why would I seek it? That's meaningless.
Right.
But if you're not going to give it to us, meaning the idea of it being a gift, being something that he can then basically, it doesn't require any action on his part, then maybe. But if he's saying that if that's also not going to happen, then here on this earth, create our own paradise.
Right.
And that's something what I love. It's brilliant. It's going to be an eternal source of conflict for Canute, because he's going to look at people, individuals, characters, places, examples, if you will, of God's creation, where he's going to go, oh, is this actually a picture of paradise? Is this a little piece of it? Is this something of, is this a taste of salvation, or is it all a lie? I think there's going to be multiple points in the story where he'll go, no, I've already been down that road. I've already been down that road specifically, and I know it doesn't lead anywhere. It leads, no, it doesn't lead to answers. This is the thing. Okay. This is the thing I think that's brilliant about Canute, is that they set him up so brilliantly to fail in terms of ever answering his questions, because his questions are one where he basically just rails against the sky and doesn't get any specific answers. But there are characters that he could potentially interact with where they can give him pieces of an answer. And it's maybe echoes of a piece of an answer, because, someone like Thor's is already gone. But,
what I'm a little bit, excited to see in kind of a dark way.
Oh, yeah.
Is the fact that now at this point, Canute can do no wrong from his perspective. Because anything that he does, he answers to no higher power. right? He will make his own paradise.
Yep.
Anything else is simply in the way.
Yep.
And because it's going to be a paradise, anything else, there is unless there's some aspect of it that wins him over, everything must go.
Yep.
Adapt or die.
Yep. What's terrifying here is, like, I am impressed with your theories and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much that's going to happen from this moment onward.
I can only imagine.
And yet, one of the things that if I remember correctly, one of the things that we're going to be shocked by is very much in line with what you're saying, is just how cold Canute can be.
Oh yeah, he's going to be because it's not going to be that he's amoral, right? But almost about as close as you could get. It's rather just that he basically has his own moral code that is, yes, me, I'm always right.
Well, that's part of it. Yes. There's this other bit here which is exciting, which is him basically throwing the dream ahead of himself.
Mm-hmm. Right.
In some ways delaying.
So that he's also chasing after it.
Well, right. But the aspect of the child here is something where I think that he's now actually solidified a good portion of his characterization, so that when the question comes up in the future, and this is what I was bringing up, is that there will be things that will test him, and that it will show little bits of what actual paradise on earth looks like in ways of that there's actual love there, and there's something that the love that you noticed was everywhere in your bit of enlightenment here. And he will come back to this moment because he threw the question down the line.
Right.
He didn't actually answer the question. Yeah. He said, if this and this, then this. But because he never actually got a true answer to this, we could see moments, because this is where they can do whatever they want. I mean, this is anime and it's based on historical stuff, but the interpersonal, deep character stuff, they can go really in depth into that, is have moments where he's wrestling with the idea of, well, wait a minute. Is an answer 100% necessary? Is actually these little echoes of love, these little moments where these moments of imperfect love, where people come really close, like Thor's, is that actually more valuable? Because I think what a lot of people who end up like the priest in some ways come to the position of, is that the priest realized that there was somewhere out there someone that embodied potentially the true warrior, the perfect love, or what have you.
Yeah.
Thor's. But he died. The priest will never see him. The priest will never encounter him. The priest will never get to ask him questions. He will only be able to ask questions of people who knew the person that he was.
Yep.
And that's not enough for the priest. So I think he gave up in the same way, because that's where he's going to find his own measure of peace.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, I think the whole phrase of, ignorance is bliss comes from the idea that we as human beings can get into these existential questions where there's just no real answer to it. Or the answer that we get is so simple that it actually leaves us less satisfied than we were before when we were just asking the questions. So I would say, don't cling to answers. Keep asking good questions, because there's so many people and different perspectives and ways of looking at the world that you can find your own measure of peace. But what I love here is you look at Canute, he looks so at peace with everything here.
Really?
This is where I think the height of delusion is actually. Is like you see what I'm saying here is that like there's what actual peace is.
He's come to a conclusion, and that conclusion's not going to change anytime soon.
Right. Yeah. So in some ways, he finds a huge measure of peace in that.
Yeah, it might be a turbulent peace, shall we say?
Oh, I would say the hurricane is the perfect picture of it. He is in the eye of the storm.
Right.
And woe be to anyone in his wake as he moves. But he won't leave the eye of the storm. He doesn't have to.
Sure. Why would he?
His world is peaceful now.
Well, and he's the hurricane answers to his beck and call.
Well, I mean, that's going to, become more and more reality over the course of time.
One of the things that I'm with the extension of the philosophy that was adopted here, right? And granted, Canute was also questioning it and things like that, right? But with the whole death is love, the natural extension of that, which is where you can see that it kind of breaks down, is cool. So then that means everyone in the world has to die, right? Because if you don't allow for imperfections, then that's what you need, right? In order to achieve that outcome, which I'm interested to see how like Canute will basically apply this new philosophy that he's adopted, because when it gets into the actual details and execution of it, it's not going to be quite so simple as his moment of clarity is right here, right? So what will he choose in that moment? And so, that's going to be insane.
So that's where my theories came in, was basically that he'll encounter that over the course of time. And because of the piece he found in this situation here, which in some ways is based around a little bit of a delusion, he'll be able to reconcile the inconsistencies in the future back within that, and then they'll get swept up essentially in the storm around him, and it'll be daijoubu essentially for as far as he's concerned.
From delusion, you can prove anything.
This is something that, though, I really do feel like you're right about the whole rocket analogy, though, in that this is where greatness is found in terms of I would say action and ambition, the kind of thing to where people then, because they're not asking questions, they're able to just move forward. There's this level of doubt that I would say a lot of the philosophers have with regards to their own ways of thinking.
Yes.
When you remove all said doubt, in some ways you're able to do more because you're not wasting time.
Right. You're set in one direction and you're going that direction as fast as you can.
But the direction has to come from a place of meaning and purpose.
So
regardless of how effective or powerful the meaning or purpose is, there has to be some in there in order for you to basically keep moving when you encounter obstacles, struggles, and what have you. So, this was a miracle. What I love, though, is that the priest is still alive. The priest is going to see what ends up happening from this.
Oh boy!
And I think the priest is going to become, maybe slowly but surely, the new kind of not Ragnar, kind of character in this here. Either that, or it's going to be closer to what Thorfinn does. Now, we didn't talk much at all about Thorfinn or Thorkel here.
The actual fight. The actual fight was
an amazingly good.
Oh my god, I loved it so much. And the way they did the stands, of everybody like all around, just cheering and being like, "Whoa, this is actually happening."
And
oh man,
and Thorfinn was winning.
Yeah. Thorkel had to take off his cloak and show those burly, muscly arms and use an underhanded tactic.
However, the fact that he was able to kick off at the right time after he got kicked with that much force. This is some trampoline shenanigans where he's sent 70, 80 feet into the air.
Right, and this is probably something that's sort of stylized because anime, right?
Well, yeah, of course. Just like Bjorn going, absolutely mad lad, barbarian, berserker rage, just crazy. The fact that he lands and he's probably not only alive, but I would say he's not like super injured is going to be ridiculous. Like, the fight is over. Like, he's lost. He's lost. He's probably unconscious. Like, I'd say he's almost definitely unconscious. But Askeladd having his moment of, I've lost all hope now. What I like about this is then you showcase, like, almost immediately after that, Bjorn, kind of rampaging and then going, I'm going to charge towards him here. And I love this little moment here because there's the ways they kind of draw Canute changes in this episode.
It does.
You notice like little moments like where is it? This
there's parts where he's practically a JoJo character, and then
this part right here.
Yeah.
Where he says, "Is anyone sane in this world?" And it's like looking up at him, and he's got like this like kind of austere, imperial like look to him that just looks terrifying. And the idea that he says, "Is anyone sane in this world?" This is something that I was kind of waiting for him to reconcile. And he says, everyone's the same. No one knows how to love. No one knows the meaning of life. So when he basically resolves to build his paradise with this, in some ways, this is probably the best part of his ideology, in my opinion.
Which part?
The part where he acknowledges that they're all in the same boat. Because he puts himself in that mix there.
Let's hope so.
No, he has to be. He has to be.
Mm-hmm.
No one knows the meaning of life. No one knows the meaning of death. No one even knows the reason they're fighting. So then he stands up, almost accepting, like, well, if there's no way of it, saying I've had enough, I'm sick of it, he's free. In some ways, he can be free from trying to separate himself. There's this aspect of Canute that has been that he is separate. He is different from everyone else. And now he's acknowledging we're all the same. That's that touch of nihilism in there. But I think him going, I'm sick of it, is not him being sick of the idea that, everyone is the way they are. It's him going, I'm sick of just sitting there
and having that be the way
it is and not wanting to do something about it.
Sure. Now, okay.
And then he acknowledges that there's no way to get back what we lost. Paradise lost. Literally,
that was not lost on me.
No, I got you. I got you. I'm just saying it for the people watching, obviously. Right. But having that futility of, saying, well, we can't find it, we're going to seek it. Yeah. And then he's literally like kind of chastising God in a way here.
Definitely.
I love it.
The one thing I will say as a counter to that is that I don't believe that was what we had set up as Canute prior, in that him being separate. In fact, it seemed to be like there's the separation of his status and everything. But for him as a person, it was always that he was too normal. He was just a normal kid that shouldn't be in this situation, right? Ragnar raised him as a normal son, like a farmer, would raise a child.
Right, but he still couldn't avoid the fact that he was made separate by... Okay.
It could be something where he's saying, no one's sane in this world, everyone's the same, all that stuff, right? And it could be the positive aspects of, therefore, being free and doing the things that, all that stuff. But given the amount of nihilism in that whole series of statements,
sure,
there is also very much the possibility, especially given the fact that he said, no one in this world is sane, that if anything just says something about maybe his own sanity, that basically, and him standing up could be something of, I'm going to rise above that. I'm going to be different from that. I am not going to abide by the same, I'm going to make categorical statements about everything and not include myself in them.
Yeah, I think that's possible. I think that the part where he actually goes up to Bjorn and starts raging and basically has his prayer where he's kind of interjecting Father in heaven, Father, or what have you, into these specific bits here. And he's saying that, is this really the way things are? Is this really what we have to look forward to? Just death and the idea that suffering is the meaning of life? Life is pain, Highness. Anyone who says differently is selling something. Yeah, that's
Canute's going to be selling something.
But the thing is I think that he's saying that if that is the case, then there's no harm in me trying to fight against that by selling something in a lot of ways here. So then he, in some ways he's trying to channel the storm.
Right, which now, yes, absolutely. And with that philosophy, then you would say, well, wait, isn't that what kind of everyone's doing in their own way?
Yes.
Right. Which circles you back almost to the beginning where you know nothing. Right.
Right.
Which is why he's probably not going to do that, because then that would undermine this entire experience that he's had.
Well, I know what you mean, but he is actually seeking paradise still. He basically says, like, I acknowledge that I cannot bring that through the way the world currently works. So I'm going to change that by seeking out not your means of a paradise, but my own means by creating it. So it's the opposite of nihilism in a lot of ways, because he has to build the paradise. He has to actually attain it. It's the world full of nihilism and all these things that I reject, because in some ways your truth, Father, is something that says that it will basically overcome this, but it doesn't. I'm looking at the world and it doesn't.
So maybe it's something that just the difference in opinion on this scene and stuff is just because of the fact that I don't know anything about what happens in history and you do.
I mean, that could be it. I think that it is more that he has both of these in tandem, and we're just trying to make sure that we
see how they tussle with each other moving forward, if they tussle with each other, or if it's Mm-hmm.
I kind of know that there is a tussle between the two of these a little bit, but you're more right in the standpoint that because he's going to be a rocket, he's going to go far forward in his goals and in his ambitions and what have you. There's an aspect where things are going to be more simple when it comes to the majority of his actions. He's already kind of solidified his belief systems in a lot of things. He's no longer questioning things.
Yeah.
But I find the idea that we're getting so deep into the character of Canute means that there's a lot of things about what I know of history that's not going to apply necessarily at all to whatever his character struggle will be. And the main one I see being his character struggle is that he's setting himself up to fail, to build something that is not possible. Therefore, he's going to have moments where it's going to be difficult, and he will struggle, and he will find meaning as he overcomes said, parts where he's struggling. And what will be solidified in that, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. Yep. But this episode was absolutely amazing.
Incredible.
Like, the fact that it exists is a testament to Vinland Saga as a story and Studio Wit as a studio. Like, incredible.
One of the best episodes of the show, hands down.
Yep.
I loved the change in tone of voice. The voice actor did an incredible job of showcasing not, I would say, just how determined and how focused he is when he basically leads this situation in the final 2 minutes of the episode. But he gives the speeches of a king, basically. Warriors, become my vassals. I will teach you about when you must fight and who you must fight. I shall give meaning to your battles, to your life, and to your death. This is the beginnings of a
true king.
Of a king, yes. But given that we know, with history as our ally, kings as far as a concept is such a backwards way of doing things.
Yes.
We already know where the kind of failings end up for these types of people, but because of Canute's belief systems, he has kind of set himself up to be more than a king, rather a god king in a lot of ways.
Oh, definitely.
Like I see you, Griffith.
Almost straight up calling himself, fine, if I reject you and I will be my own god. Thing.
And then he literally casts off his old kind of self mantle or what have you and does like an anime pose and
it's almost like some Zawaru though,
just that little bit right there is so brilliant, because you can almost see him like signing his signature on this moment in time.
I'll take this potato chip and eat it.
But it's almost like you can imagine a pen and quill of ink in his hand, and he just strikes his mark across history here, and he goes, this is the way it is. It is as I say. And that is the most terrifying, exciting thing about Canute as a character, is that we are now stage 1. We finished stage 0. And I'm so
the rocket
hyped,
is
guys.
Rising.
I'm so hyped. Next episode, y'all. Looking forward to watching it. If you want to see our reaction and discussion to the next episode, though, right now, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length reactions there. And all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general. You can get involved in the community there and talk about the manga. You can also talk with Jacob about the book that he wrote.
That's right. I wrote a sci-fi novel. It's awesome. It's called Battle Lines. It's available on Amazon hardcover and ebook for whichever works best for you. Links in the description. Make sure to go check it out.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.